Good morning, Mr. Mike. It is Saturday. Did you think you were going to get off the hook because it's the weekend? No, every day is a good day to learn about a dinosaur, and we have a very interesting one to go over today. Again, I want to thank Mechanicsburg Learning Center for making this possible. We're going to be doing this every single day for the duration, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and make sure you share this with your friends and colleagues. And again, want to thank you for everybody sharing and all the comments. Thanks so much. So let's get right into it. First dinosaur that we're going to talk about for the first weekend of the shutdown is Nigersaurus. What a great, great animal. Nigersaurus is so unique. Now, it is what the kids like to refer to as a long neck. However, doesn't really have an incredibly long neck. And it wasn't really that big like the ones you see in all the movies and the cartoon dinosaurs. It was a sauropod, but it did not have a particularly gigantic size. This thing was about 30 feet long. Still not bad. Same length of a Stegosaurus or a Triceratops, but not nearly like long things that grow to 90 and 100 feet long. But boy, what an interesting animal. Discovered in Niger. So it's called Nigersaurus or Nigersaurus. Interestingly enough, I see different pronunciations all the time. I hear Nigersaurus, but it was discovered in Niger, and people say it should be pronounced Nigersaurus, but the gentleman that actually named it pronounces it Nigersaurus. So it's anyone's guess. I think whatever you do is probably fine. Let's take a look at the Nigersaurus skull as compared to some other popular dinosaurs. Everybody knows this. The famous T-Rex, the perennial leader and number one named dinosaur whenever we talk about dinosaurs at the schools and libraries and museums that I go to. Just the classic meat eater, carnivorous shaped face. Now let's look at a cousin of his, smaller, actually a lot smaller. This is Velociraptor. Take a look at the teeth. Teeth made for meat eating. Another exotically shaped skull is the famous Triceratops, okay? Now, did this guy have teeth? Yes, but they were to the side. He had sort of like a parrot's beak, but beautifully ornate skull of the Triceratops. And then we have today's dinosaur, the Nigersaurus or Nigersaurus. Wow, pretty odd, okay? First thing we notice is a very strangely shaped mouth. Let's talk about that mouth for a second. Scientists describe it as a grazer or a lawnmower, okay? It was a very flat mouth. Look at the model here. Perfectly designed for going along, waving his head back and forth as he grazed on the low grasses. We're not even sure if this beast could put his head up in the air. Some folks think that maybe he just kept his head low all the time to graze on the low grasses. We don't have any evidence supporting either way, so there's conjecture, but boy, what an interesting skull. Back to the mouth. Let me give you a close-up view of the mouth. Scientists describe this as a vacuum-shaped mouth, very flat. The Nigersaurus had, we believe, about 500 teeth in his mouth at one time. Now, that doesn't mean they were all over the place. They were all lined up like this. And we think that the entire life of a tooth was only about 2 weeks. So it would back and forth like this. And as one tooth wore out, popped out, and another one would grow in its place. So we think the Nigersaurus had, as I said, about 500 teeth in its mouth at the same time. The animal lived about 119 to 99 million years ago. It was actually named in 1976, not by the famous paleontologist Dr. Paul Sereno. That came a little bit later. It had very large eyes, so we believe it probably had pretty good vision at night. Its bones were hollow like a bird's, which is why it's rare to even find a well-preserved dinosaur like this, because erosion and all sorts of things can take place with dinosaur bones. In fact, some of the bones of Nigersaurus or Nigersaurus were so thin that you could put a flashlight up to it and actually see through it. So anyway, discovered actually in the 1960s, but it took a while for them to figure out what it was. And it would actually, the paper was then published in 1976, and then Paul Sereno comes along, discovers some extra bones of it, and makes a pretty good, accurate model of what we think it looked like. He called it a cross between Darth Vader and a vacuum cleaner. Now the teeth resemble kind of long string beans with one flattened end, and the flattened end was the one that would like chomp and break off the grasses that it ate. So Nigersaurus is today's dino that we're featuring on the Dino-A-Day, brought to you by the Mechanicsburg Learning Center. Let me read you a story that I wrote about Nigersaurus. Illustrated by my son Ethan. Here's a picture of what he believed the head looked like. Now here would be a handy guy to have when things were spilled. The clever Nigersaurus was a tame one and quite skilled. He had a mouth that had a shape more handy than a broom. In fact, it was exactly in the shape of a vacuum. And here's a thing where even a new vacuum can't compete. He had a set of grinding teeth that helped when he would eat. Imagine if your vacuum sucked your mess up off the floor, then grinded it and mashed it up so it could suck some more. And even if he lost a tooth while vacuuming the ground, existing right behind it was more rows of teeth we found. See, just like a shark, when one fell out, a new tooth took its place. The mighty Nigersaurus had a most amazing face. A Dr. Paul Sereno excavated him and learns this ancient cow kept his head low to nibble on the ferns. Another bones discovery has helped us understand there's countless more awaiting under hardened rock and sand. Each more we learn a little more than those that came before us. Like ancient cows with vacuum mouths, the mighty Nigersaurus. The Nigersaurus from Dinorific Poetry Volume 1, book I wrote, my son Ethan illustrated. All of this brought to you by our friends at Mechanicsburg Learning Center. Today is Saturday, but guess what? We're going to do it again tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please share this video with your friends and colleagues and tune in again tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. for another edition of Dino-A-Day with your host, Mr. Mike, brought to you by the Mechanicsburg Learning Center. Thanks. Have a great day. Wash your hands.